recording has stopped. So the too long don't read is just Git a tool to keep track of different versions of a document so you can return and revert back to the previous version or snapshot that you made. And it's a very powerful collaboration tool. So go ahead and install Git if you have not. Go to Git for Windows, Git SCM, or go to gitscm.com and download it. On macOS, you can just download it by, it should comes with the Xcode command line tool. So you type in the terminal Xcode dash select dash dash install, and you will get it installed. On Linux, you can run these commands to get it up on Linux, and then to verify the installation that you have Git, you run the command git space minus minus version. Okay, so that is how you get, and you should get version 2 point something. Okay, it doesn't have to be 2.39 or above. 2 point something is good. Okay. Tools you need. You also need an IDE or Visual Studio Code to write some code and write some Java code, for example, or an IDE to create a Java project. If you want to do work on a Java project and push code to GitHub. So we're going to be using GitHub. The GitHub is basically the hosting service for Git code that's versioned by Git version control. We need a GitHub account, sign up for GitHub, and whenever you're working with Git, you can access Git over SSH or over HTTPS. So that means if you are on GitHub, for example, and you go to your GitHub account and you try to clone a repository, download a repository, for example, you can either use the SSH URL or use the HTTPS URL. So it's easier to work with HTTPS, especially if you're on a restricted network like KU's network. SSH is blocked, the protocol. HTTPS is not blocked. Okay, so that is why you probably use HTTPS in that case. So we need a command line tool. So in Windows, you should have Git Bash installed, or you should get the terminal app. This is a new terminal from Microsoft. So go and get this if you don't want to use Git Bash. Okay. You can get this one, and you can use the same command that I use on Linux. Okay. I kind of lost the chat. Where's the chat? Chats. It's here. Okay. PowerShell will work, Thamer. Yes, PowerShell would work as well. But you're not going to get the same environment on that you get with Windows Terminal or Git Bash. So LS will work. PowerShell is good for the most part, but you still has some commands specific to Windows. Okay. So when you download Git with the links that are provided, Git Bash comes with it. Perhaps not an expert on Windows. And then on Mac OS, you get the terminal, or Linux. I think you know what you're doing, so you don't need me to tell you how to open the terminal if you are on Linux. All right, commands. CD to go to a directory. So if I want to go to the downloads directory folder, and then I type CD, and then I go to downloads. Right. This means it's the home directory. In Windows, you type CD, and then you type the path that you want to go to. Right. So C users. If there is a space, white space, you put this in double quotation, and then you put the name of the folder, right? Yes, you can create files, you can do all sorts of things from the command line interface, okay? So that is how you go to a directory. So I don't have this directory, so I'm gonna say an error, no such file or directory. If you want to go back, you do cd space dot dot. This will send you back to the previous folder. And if you do ls, you can see the content of this folder. So I am on GitHub Workshop. If I do print present working directory, it will print the full path to this directory. Okay, so if I want to go to a directory inside this one, so if I am going back and then kind of get lost, I can just do cd and then put the full path to the directory that I want to go to, right? So here I have KU GitHub Workshop, then I can go to this directory. Okay, so that is cd. Make directory is the command to create directories and folder. So make directory, so git demo, for example, and then I go to git demo, and then I can open this in your, so you print the working directory, so it's git demo, and you can start creating files in this directories and then initializing your work directory. Okay. So if I want to create a Java project, if I open, you can do this in VS Code. VS Code is kind of easier to use, and then using IntelliJ IDEA or any other IDEs. So if I want to open a new project, for example, uh, okay, probably shouldn't be using IntelliJ IDEA because I have not updated the license for quite some time. I'm gonna be opening VS Code, so let me just kill this one and um, open Visual Studio Code. So exit and exit from this thing. So I'm gonna open Visual Studio Code. This is a code editor that's widely used for all sorts of developments. Um, so I'm going to Visual Studio Code. Let me see if I can show it and move it here. And I'm gonna do a new window. Okay, this is Visual Studio Code, the IDE. You can download it from the web. Just Google how to download Visual Studio Code, and you will get the editor. So I'm going to go to open folder, and I have to tell it where the folder that I want to open um, that I created here. So this is the full path git demo, right? So it's under users, Khalid Harbi, documents, courses, GitHub Workshop, and then git demo. So I need to go to this directory. So I know where I am. So I'm gonna go here and then open this empty directory. Okay. Um, so let's create just a simple text file. I'm gonna call this one readme.txt. You can create any kind of files here. In my case, I'm just gonna create this simple file with a text in it, so we can know more about version control. Okay. So I'm just gonna write some text here. Hello Git. And if I do ls, now I see readme.txt here. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna skip these ones. You can go through these commands and how to create these commands, how to work with the command line in the lecture slide. So we're gonna talk about how to set up your Git environment. So if you just install Git, be sure to run this command. So git config minus minus global user.name, and then you put your name that you want to use whenever you're committing something. Okay. So you put your name here, so that way any changes you make to Git will be linked to your name, and then you put your email, the email that you use with GitHub, or you can use your username at users.noreply.github.com. Okay. So this will talk about more authenticating with Git. We said we're gonna use HTTPS to authenticate with Git because it's just easier. Setting up Git and authenticating with GitHub is only done once. This is kind of painful, but the good news is you only do it once for every computer, and then you will be using the same computer if it's your laptop or your personal computer over and over again. Okay. So we can create a file um, uh, like this file, for example, main.java, or we can work on the text file, the readme.txt. So I can create this one. So to create a file, I go to my text editor, and then I create a new file. And this one happens to be named main.java. Okay, so I'm gonna name this one main.java. It should be, yes, the same as the, yes, Walid. It should be the same as the one that you used on GitHub. Okay. Um, so um, so this will do it. Setting up the. Let me just format this guy. Oops. Just format, and now it's looking good. So save this one, main.java. All right. So this is a very simple Java application. So we have got readme.txt and then main.java, right? So now this project is being created on my local machine, but it's not being tracked by Git. So version changes is not tracked at all, right? So what I need to do is I need to turn on Git and mark this folder as a Git repository, right? Repository is a placeholder to hold your project. So it's a project, it's a directory that holds a project that's being tracked by Git. All right. So how do I make this one as a Git project? So you run, if you have to be sure that you are in the same directory, the same folder that that your project is in. So the project is in a folder called Git demo, and I'm here. So now, and I see those files, ls, I see main.java readme.txt. So I run the command git init, right? So this is the command. And now this command initialized a project, a Git repository project. You don't need to see this. This is just some fancy tools that I use in my terminal. You do not need to worry about this. So if I do ls, I don't see anything. But if I do ls minus a, it will show all the hidden files. And you see that running the command git init created a directory, a folder that is hidden. You can see it unless you enable saying hidden directory with the name .git. And this directory will contains all the versions that history of my project, okay, locally on this machine. So this will contain all the changes that made to the project and stored locally on my file system. Okay. So now we need to, once we initialize it, we need to stage this and start tracking these files. So what do we need? So when I run git init, now this is a Git repository. So if I do git status, this is the very important command that I want you to know, right? So git init is the first one to turn in the project is git init, right? You can run it twice. Git status is the command that will tell you what is the status of files and how Git is tracking your project. So if I run git status, it is telling me that you are on the branch main. All right, so there is a branch of my Git repository called main. And on the branch, I did not make any comments. So no comments at all. And you have untracked files. So you have files, Git can see files, main.java and readme.txt, but these files are not being tracked by Git at all. Okay, so it is telling you what command to use. So say git, use git add, and then space the file name, to include in what will be committed, right? So if you want to record a snapshot of the change that you made, then you have to add the file to the staging phase, right? So we just run the command git add, give it the name of the file, so main.java, and then run git status again. Now it's telling me that you have files that ready to be committed, and you have files that are untracked. So we have not added them to Git to keep track of these files. So what do I need to do here is I need to add also this one, git add readme.txt. So now if I run git status, it is telling me that main.java and readme.txt are the two new files that are ready to be committed. Okay, so we did the commit, and we need to write a commit with a message. Okay, so let's do git commit. Now we just added them. We have not stored a snapshot of the change. So git commit, and you need to add a message. The message will tell us what was done to this file. What did you do in main.java? What did you do in readme.txt? I can just say just initialized the repo, right? Or first commit. Any message that makes sense to you, right? So now we committed the file, right? So if I do git status, and I'm on a branch main, and there is nothing in here, right? So these are the three important commands that I want you to know. Git status will tell you what is the status of your local Git repository. Git add, and then the file name to add a file if the file was modified or the file is not being tracked by Git. Then you add it to a staging phase, and you can add many files to a staging phase. And when you are ready to save and store them in Git, you commit. So once you add, you can add as many files as you, but you can commit and save a snapshot by just one command that will take a snapshot of all these files that you have made changes to. So git commit, and then you give it the message. You put the message. Message goes here, and then you run the command, right? So git status will tell you what is the status of your local repo, and then git add, you add files to them, and then git commit will commit the message and save a snapshot. Okay. So congratulations, you made your first commit. Now we need to create a remote repository. Now everything is being done. Yes, you can make commits after editing in Visual Studio Code. So if I make a change, right, to this line, right, so system dot out dot print line, so first plus seconds, and then equals sum, right? So let's say that we want to add just a new line here, and just put backslash in, right? And save this. So if I save this, and then I go to my git, my terminal, and then I run git status, it is telling you that there's a file that was modified. So now Git is starting tracking the changes that you make to the file. If I want to see what changes were made to the file, what did I change? Then I run the command diff. So git diff, and then the name of the file, right? So main.java. And if I run it, you're going to see in colors that system.out.println first, and then it's telling you which line was changed, and this one was removed, this line was removed, this is what it used to be before, and this one was added, right? So yes, wow. So every change that you make to the file can be tracked, and you hit Q on the keyboard, it will quit and exit. So again, git status all the time. If you are not sure what to do, you run git status, and then git status will tell you what is being the status of your local Git repository. So if you read this message, it says git add if you wanna update what will be committed. If you wanna add them, do you accept the change that you made? If you accept the change, then you do git add. Okay. If you don't like the stage, you wanna discard the changes, you run git restore, and then it will return back to the previous state. So if it depends on what you wanna do. Did you like the change? You do git add main.java. Did you not like the change? You do git restore, and then you give it the name of the file, right? So if I do git status, nothing. If I go back to Visual Studio Code, that new line is gone, was removed, because we returned back to the previous one, so we did not accept the change that we made. All right, so staging phase is important. We did not hit commit. Commit is like save, right? So git stage is like a drafting, right? Git add and git commit. Git add, Thamir is asking, what is the difference between git add and git commit? Git add will add it to a staging phase, right? Git add means, hey, get ready. We are staging these files. So we're gonna save a snapshot. Hitting the save and storing the changes in the database is done through git commit. Okay, so you can make changes to any files. So this change can be just adding a new line, and then I go to readme.txt and add a new line, and then I go here, git status is telling me that two files have been modified, main.java, readme.txt. So now if I want to save them all, I have to add them individually. If I want to save one snapshot of git the file main.java, then I do git add main.java. Okay, and then I do git if I wanna, and then I run git status, it will tell you that changes to be committed. So these are the changes that were accepted, and it's has moved to a staging phase. Okay, what if I did add and then restore? What would happen? If you add and then restore, the changes will be discarded. Okay, it will be unstaged, right? So if you have two files, for example, if you do not like the stage, if you wanna if you don't want to save the change, then you do git restore minus minus staged and then the file name. Okay, if you want to unstage them. So staging is just like moving files. Let's just get an analogy of getting you're a grocery store and you want to check out items, right? So you bought some items from the grocery store, and some of the items that you bought, you're sure about the price. Some of them you're not sure about their price. So you go to the checker and you scan them, all right? And then at the end, you're going to pay for at once, right? You're gonna pay the total. So similarly here, you add. If you like the changes that you made, you first add, and now they are staged. And if you want to store the snapshot, you do git commit, right? So it's the equivalence of paying. If you like the products, you're gonna pay for them. If you do not like individual products, you can say just to the checker, sorry, I don't want this. I'm not paying for this. Return it. All right. So similarly here, if I like the change that I made to main.java, then I add it and then I commit. Or if I have made changes to many files, we can just add many files, right? And then we do git add readme.txt. So now I added two files. Now if I do git status, is telling me that these files are ready to be committed. If I like the change, then I do git commit message, and then I do second commit, and I committed the changes, right? The next command is git log, all right? And it will tell you what happens to this repository. So if I run git log, it's telling me who is the author, what is the date that they made this commit, and what is the message of each commit. All right, so git log will show you the history of these commits and the messages that were committed and added to each commit. Right, so hit Q on your keyboard, hit the key Q to quit. Right, so now if I do git status, nothing. If I go back to the file and I decide to delete the new line, okay, and then I do git status, it's telling me that changes made and not staged. How do I stage them? Question on the chat. How do I stage the commits, the changes? How do I stage the changes? Right? You're excellent. You're on git add, git add, git add. Excellent. So git add, you do main.java, and then git add read me. All right? So
أنا جالس إلى الساعة 10 بعدين جت الساعة 10 مسكر على طول ما حد يلعب.
someone unmuted themselves. Please
أي سؤال
be
كذا
sure to
عشان
mute
واضح
yourself.
أنا بدري.
Someone
ذكرنا اللي
in the chat. Let me just, this
عشان الحضور
is,
عندنا
who's
80%
talking
ناس
over me?
يحضرون
Nawaf.
حسابات.
Mute. Thank you for the mute button. Okay. Um, so, so that is basically, so we added them. Now, if I don't like it, right? So if I don't like if I don't like the changes, right? So let's say I added them, and then I decided, no, that's not what I want. Then I can remove them from the staged phase. So I do git, you just copy this command, git restore dash dash staged, and then the name of the file. So main.java, right? So if I do git status, the file, the changes still exist in main.java. So if you go to the main.java file, you can see that the line was deleted, the new line. Okay. Um, so the change still exists in the file, right? And then I can also undo the staging by running git restore, and then minus minus staged readme.txt, right? Sorry, I had a typo. Restore, and then I do git status, and it's telling me that now, do you want to stage them? You run git add. Do you want to return back to the step back? You want to undo the changes, discard the changes, right? You want to ignore all the changes, then you run the command git restore without minus minus stage. So you run git restore, and then you give it the name of the file. Okay. You can give as many names as you want. And so main.java, and then restore readme, and then I do git status, nothing. If I go back to my file, the new line is still there. Okay, so we return back to the changes. So restoring can mean two things. It means undoing the changes, right? So if I go to my document and I added many lines, right? See, even VS Code is showing me that this is green because the project is in Git enabled. So it's telling me what changes that I made, green. If I removed a line, it will be going in red, right? If I do git diff. So if I do now git status, and I can see that main.java has changed. All right. If I want to see what change is made, I run the command git diff main.java. So run the command, and now it's telling me this line was removed and these blank empty lines were added. If I do not like it, again, you forget the command. Do not Google, do not chat GPT it. All right, just run git status, the same terminal, and it will tell you what commands you could do. All right, so it's very easy. If you're on a graphical user interface, you're going to see many, many buttons. You're not sure what to do with these buttons. But using the terminal, the interface will not change. So you run git status and they will tell you. So now what do you want to do? Change is not staged for commits. All right. That's just the equivalent of someone picking up products. They did not go to the checkout register in the supermarket or the grocery store. So if you want to stage them, prepare them for saving, recording a snapshot, then you add them and then you commit. If you want to undo and discard the change, then you run git restore and then the name of the file. And then you go back to the file, the changes are gone. So this is all good, but we're only working, you mean save by staging? No, it's not, we're not saving the by staging. By staging is we are preparing a snapshot, right? We want to save a snapshot of your application. So when you commit, you're storing a snapshot, right? So it's like collecting mini files and put them together so you can hit the save button at once on them and save them in the database. Okay. So now we need to work on a remote repository. So we need to create a repository on GitHub because right now it's only in my laptop. Okay. So I'm going to create a repository with the same name as my project. It doesn't have to be the same name, but creating it the same name makes things easier. So go to GitHub. I have a GitHub organization, not my username. This is just an organization. But I will be creating a new project, a new repository. So click on the plus sign. You're gonna see your username here. I'm gonna select the KU GitHub Workshop and name the project, the name of the repository Git demo. All right, so Nawaf, when I restore, is the snapshot saved locally or remotely? Locally. We're not doing anything here. What restoring a snapshot is something else. Right? This is just undoing changes that were staged. Okay. We can also undo the commit. You made commits and you want to go back. So if I do the command git log, you want to go back to this commit, we can go back to this commit. All right. But I don't want to get into this yet. But we can go back to any date, right, and go back to the software, any version of our software. We can still go back to it. Okay. So git demo, create the repository, and then go to make it public. You want to make it public or private. I'm not going to create anything. Just hit, don't create README file, no nothing, and then hit create repository. Okay. So this is the repository that has been created. Select HTTPS to get everything in HTTPS. And then it is asking you, what did you do? Are you using GitHub desktop? Are you using the command line? Are you creating a new repository in the command line? Or you want to push an existing repository from the command line? The thing is we want to push a repository, right? Because we created the local repository and we want to push it to the cloud. So we're not going to do these commands. So the first command is you need to add the URL to the remote repository. So we are creating a remote repository on GitHub and we want to mirror the changes made locally to GitHub. Okay. So first thing first is we run the command git remote add and then origin and then the URL to your repository. Okay. the URL must end with .git. So what is happening here is we're adding a remote repository. So every time I want to push changes to this repository, we have to give it a name. So instead of me, I say, hey, push the changes to https github.com/ku-github-workshop/git-demo.git. That's a lot to type. So we want to give the URL a short name, and the short name is origin. All right, you can name it any name. Doesn't have to be origin. You can name it GitHub, right? But the common convention is just to use origin for the name. Okay, so we name the URL origin, and we give it enter. Now we have added a remote repository. Okay. Next is you need to create a branch. If you rename the branch, you create a branch. Branch is named main if you're using version 2.3, I believe, or 2.2 and above. So you don't need to worry about getting a branch with the name master. Okay. Next is we just can push to the remote repository, right? So we can run the command git push. Origin is the name of the repository, the name of the long URL. And then you have to specify a branch because each Git repository will contain a branch. A branch is like a version that you're working on. All right, you want to branch out of the main project and fix a bug. You always create a branch, and then you go to that branch, fix the bug, and then merge with the main branch. We're gonna just work on a main branch for now. So I'm gonna push to a main branch remotely, right? So git push origin main, and the changes went to GitHub. So my local repository, my local Git, uploaded the changes to GitHub. So if I go to the URL and reload, now I see my changes. Okay. All right. Yeah. So if it doesn't work with you, try to use the -u. Good job, Tamer. If this didn't work with you, then you could use the -u, git push -u origin main. All right. Um, so that is if it didn't work at the first time. But this is just to push upstream. Most of the time it will work. The second time it will work just with git push origin main. So it's not gonna push anything if you are in sync with the changes made on GitHub. Okay. So let's take a look at what happened to GitHub. So we go to the Git demo, and now we can see that it says the user, and this is my username, and it says the second commit, and I can see even what was in the second commit here. So if I go to the project, I see two commits. If I click on them, I can see the first commit and the second commit. If I wanna do the diff, what was changed, the commit details, I click on the commit hash. Each commit has a unique hash, and if I click on it, and I can see that this commit only added an empty line. Okay, and this one was kind of removed, and then hello git, not sure, could be a white space here of what was added, right? So some removed, two changes here, removed something and then added something. Okay. So we can also see that changes on GitHub. So if I go to the project, I can even see who is the contributors. So I go to Insights and then click on Contributors, and we can see who added what and when and much and how much to the project. Okay. So now any change that I make to my local repository, right? So if I go to this file and then remove this one, this line, and then save it, and then here go to here, and then run git status, git add main, and then git commit message, and this is the third commit, right? And git push origin main, right? So if I go, things are smooth because we are in sync. So if I go refresh, it should show 3 commits. So I want to keep this in mind. Get the status, git add. I'm gonna hit Control C. I'm not gonna run it, and then git commit with a message. Okay, and then git push. Origin is the name of the long URL that you added, and then main is the remote branch. So the remote branch is main. You only have one branch here, main. Okay. Sometimes it will work if you just push, since you only have one. So git push will work as well. But I always like to be very explicit on what I push and what remote and what branch. This is the remote name, and this is the branch name. Okay. Git add and git commit. People still confused about git add and git commit. Git add, um, if you made a change to a file, let's say this is the file, right? Instead of first, I'm gonna rename the variable x, y, and then x, y, and return x, y, and then sum. Okay. Readme file, hello git. I'm gonna add learning git and GitHub. Okay. So we go and run git status because we're not sure what's going on. And we can see 2 files have been changed, main.java and readme.txt. So when you commit, you're storing the snapshot of this change on this time in Git. And we can store many, many files with one commit, with one save. All right, so that's why we need to add them. So first you add, and you add this file, and then we can add another file. All right, or we can just commit in one file. If you want to commit in only one file, say then I do git status. Now this file ready to be committed. So it depends on what the commit. Do you make a commit for per file, or you want to commit with multiple files? So that's why git add is needed, right? So git add, you just tell me you add as many files as you want, and then commit. It will save. Yes, Walid Al-Harbi said git add dot, right? If I want to restore this the staged, right? Let's say I don't want to commit it yet. I want to keep adding things to it. Then I do this, and I do git status, right? And then we can do git add everything dot. You will add everything in the current directory. So if I do git status, now these 2 files have been added. All right. I'm not a fan of git add dot because it kind of encourages you to commit many files. Once we should not commit too many files, because if I made a change to this file and I want to undo the commit, then I should just undo one file, right? So you shouldn't be committing too many files. So git add dot is kind of not a good way to commit too many files if you're working on a large project. Cool. So let's say I want to commit now. So we did add. Now things are staged, and I want to commit. So I'm just gonna say refactoring this time, right? Because I did not change anything. I just did refactoring, right? Rename variables, right? Refactoring, or rename variables, right? So let's say refactored code and renamed variables. So this is my commit message. So I commit. Now if I do git status, I am ahead of origin main. What is origin? Origin is GitHub, the remote repository. What is main? Main is the branch here on GitHub. origin/main, it means the GitHub. On GitHub, there is a main repository. On the remote repository, there's a branch called main, and I'm ahead by one commit. That means I'm kind of not in sync with GitHub. How do I be in sync? Anyone? Yes, it means local machine is ahead of from GitHub. But how do I go back in sync with GitHub? In the chat, we do git push. Excellent. So we do git and then push origin main. Okay. So I push the changes and now I go to GitHub, reload, and I see the changes here. Okay. Things are nice if we are local is behind GitHub. All right. Now, what if it's the opposite? What if GitHub is ahead of me? All right. Let's say I got Muhannad, Nawaf, or Badr, Thamir, we're all working on the same project. And someone pushed to GitHub. Let's say this file, main.java. Okay, I can edit this file here on GitHub. And let's say, suppose this is Thamir laptop. Okay, excellent. I see people get pulled. Yeah. So let's say we edit this file. All right. So system dot out print line, just a new line which says print line, right? And I'm gonna say adding two numbers, semicolon. Okay. Now, if you wanna commit this change, right? You click on commit change, and similarly, it's telling you give a commit, right? So I'm gonna say um, uh, changes made on GitHub, right? Or just like added a new print line statement on GitHub, right? Usually messages has to be descriptive, telling people what changes you made. And so can people link them to the code? And then we're gonna commit. So this is the equivalent of GitHub running git add to main.java and then git commit. All right, that's what they did. So now if I go to git demo, now we have 5 commits, right? If I do git log here, I can see that I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 commits, right? So how do I check? So we need to pull. So instead of pushing, we need to do the opposite, git pull origin main, and it will download the change and merge them with my local repository, right? But sometimes you have no idea what's going on. So you do git status, and it says your branch is up to date with origin main, and this is wrong. So before you pull, it's always good because pull, it will overwrite the document, the local changes. So it will write over your code if things are mergeable, right? So it will download the code and merge the change. So yeah, we don't want that. So we want to know if someone has made a changes. So we run the command fetch. So we run git fetch, and then we say origin main, and then it will go and check GitHub. Oh, and it did find the changes, right? So it did find counting how many objects changed. So if I run my git status again, oh, see, your branch is behind origin/main by 1 commit, right? But it says and can be fast forwarded. Since the branch can be fast forwarded, we can just use the git pull to update your local repository. So we run the command git pull origin main. Okay. And notice what happens to the file if I do that. I want to move this one to the left here and move this terminal here. So you can see what happens when I run this command. Okay, so you see this line 3. So if I run git pull origin main, enter, it will go and download and merge the changes. So now you can see what happens to the left. So we got the changes um, from GitHub. Okay, so what is needed here? So sometimes doing pull will merge these things locally, and sometimes I don't want to do this manually. So you can run git fetch and git merge command. Git pull is 2 commands in one in GitHub. So if I go to main.java and let's say I edit this file and I going to write another system.out print line. I'm just gonna say dots right here, right? And then just commit change, update main in Java from GitHub, and then commit the change. So let's say this change was made by Salman, for example, and I am in the morning. I want to check. I made some changes, so I do git status, and I don't say anything. But I don't want to download the changes. I do git fetch origin main, right? And I can see that there were some changes. So if I do git status after fetch, I do git status, and now saying I'm behind by 1 commit, and can be fast forwarded. Fast forwarded, you can use git pull, right? And that's easy. So I do git
ايش
pull
فيه؟ قاعد
origin
اشوفه
main,
الشاشة
and
الثانية.
I'm getting someone muted again. Let me just mute them. Who's this here? This guy. Okay. Mute. Okay. Be careful. Hitting the M key is kind of gonna unmute yourself, right? So you can do git pull origin main, or we can use two commands. All right, git pull origin main is the equivalent of 2 commands. So git fetch, no worries, it happens. Said Darani, don't worry. Git fetch origin main. So we fetch the changes, and then we do git merge origin slash main. Yep. So excellent, Tamer. So we do git both git fetch and then git merge. This is what I like because kind of git pull is kind of like you have no idea. Oops, download and merge at once. But this one is kind of telling you that git fetch and then you get git merge. And now we can see the changes downloaded here. Okay. So this is good that we were able to merge things. And I will end with this. Just give me 5 more minutes and then I'll take questions. Um, one of the things is sometimes things are not great, right? Sometimes you make a change here, all right? So I'm gonna write a line here that says system dot out dot print line, and then I'm gonna say dot dot dots, and then I'm gonna do system dot out dot print line. I'm gonna say Khalid, right? Save this. And I am going to commit this. So git status. So how do I commit? We add it, git add main.java, git status. It says ready to be committed. I say git commit message, and I'm gonna say updated this from my laptop. Okay. I'm not gonna push it to GitHub. Let's say I continue working on the project. So we made changes in line 4 and 5. So line 4 and 5. And I am going to this project, the remote repository here, and edit it here. So edit this guy, and then go to line 4 and 5, and then I'm gonna do integer z equals 0, right? And I'm gonna do system.out and print line z, right? And then now commit the change. So updated main.java from GitHub again, right? Commit the change. Now we have a trouble because now these two branches, the same branch main, but they're two different repositories, they kind of diverged. So you got some conflict here. So how do I solve this? So if I do git status, it says you're ahead by one commit, right? If I do git, so it's not, doesn't know anything git status because it did not do git fetch. Doesn't know anything about the remote yet, right? Because we do not do fetch. So we do git fetch origin main. Again, fetch is not going to merge anything. So the command fetch is not going to make any changes to my code. Okay, so git fetch origin main, all right? And clear the screen with Control L, and then I can do Control git status. Oh, this is the kind of message that makes people pause and they hate Git and they can't do anything. They create another project or they call each other, text each other. Did you push to GitHub? Please text me so I don't deal with the merge. I don't blame them because it's kind of difficult as if you're just start learning Git to work with merging and conflict. So let's see what options is, so it says your branch and origin main have diverged and have one on GitHub and one here, local different commits each respectively. Use git pull to merge the remote branch into yours. So it's telling you you can just still use git pull, but you have to fix the conflict yourself. So let's just say git fetch that we did, right? Git fetch origin main. And let's say I want to merge the changes. All right, so I run the command git merge, and then I run origin/main. Right? Ooh, what is this? Don't freak out. Right? So you got both changes. Right? You got current change, even VS Code is kind of showing you this nicely. So it did make a change, even you're getting some fancy interface, like accept the change, accept incoming, accept both, some help. So kind of VS Code is trying to help you. So if you see anything that says head and then system.out print line, then between the head and the equal sign, this is the changes that made to your local repository. Yes, so both trying to edit the same line. So what should I do now? So what is Git says, hey, I discover a change that happens to line 4 and 5. And I don't know about code. I don't know anything. Git doesn't know about Java or any code. Git only knows that the change was made to this text file, line 4 and 5. It is your job to fix this conflict. So how do I fix it? You decide now. Do you want to keep the changes on GitHub or do you want to keep the changes locally? And you remove the lines that you do not need. Okay, so now your code is not going to compile because this is a syntax error in Java, equal. This is syntax error in Java. So you have to resolve the conflict yourself manually. So after running git merge, the changes were merged to your code And now you have to solve this conflict manually. All right. So which changes should we keep? The local or the remote? You tell me. Which one you want me? So because I don't have time to do both. You want to keep the local? All right, let's keep the local. So the local is the one with after head, right? Head is local. This is origin main. Origin main is coming from GitHub. Let's say this doesn't make any sense. What is integer 0? And you print 0. Delete this. Delete this. Now I have to delete this. Delete this. Delete this. And save. Okay. So I go here and I do git status. And you're getting both modified main.java, right? So you're getting kind of a long message here. Let's just go over it, right? It says your branch and origin have diverged and have one and different commits. You have unmerged paths. So fix the conflicts and run git commit. So you have to fix the conflict and then run git commit. Fix the conflicts, it means you go to the file, edit the file, remove the lines that you need. And now you need just to add and commit. Okay. So let's just add, git add, give it the name of the file, main.java, and git. Now, if I run git commit message, I'm gonna say merged branch and fixed the conflict. Now I do git status, right? Your branch is ahead by 2 commits. Why ahead by 2 commits? If I do git log to see what commits made, you see this is update from my laptop, and then it got the commit from GitHub, and then I got the merge commit. So even when you fix the conflict, you have to make another commit because Git likes to record everything. So Git likes to record the changes that are made on GitHub, the changes made here locally, and the merge, how the who merged what. Because if at any point you cause the bug by merging, you can just undo this commit. Okay, so I hit Q. Now I go git status. So I'm head of branch by 2 commits. So now I can push after fixing the conflict. Git push origin main. And the conflict is fixed. So all the time, your repository has to be exactly in sync with GitHub. Okay? That means if someone decided to go and edit this file here, if someone goes and edit this file, right? Let's just say we added a new empty lines, right? And then I commit the changes on GitHub, right? And I'm gonna say new lines on GitHub, and then hit commit changes. If I want to push to GitHub, I cannot. If I made local changes and I'm not in sync, I will not be able to push to GitHub. So let's go back to the file here, and I'm just gonna add system.out.println. I'm gonna say Java app, right? So I do git status. Now this file is modified. I do git commit message, and then sorry, remember we can commit before we add. So git add main.java, and then git commit message, and then I'm gonna say update. What did we do in the commits? Add a message, right? So added a message, right? So commit this message. Now, if I try to push to GitHub, git push origin main, you're getting an error. All right? Why? Because you have a conflict. You're not in sync with GitHub. And this is the kind of message that kind of set people away from using Git. So do not freak out. Just read the message, all right? Updates were rejected because the remote contains work that you do not have. All right. What should I do? Whenever I see a message with conflict, you have to fetch and merge. That's all you need to do. So git pull is not going to work because git pull will do straightforward merge. So you do git fetch origin main, you download the changes, and then you merge them. So git merge origin slash main. When you merge, you have to put slash, no space. Okay? And now you're getting auto merged. Now you have to fix the changes manually. So you look at this one. Okay, this is which one do I want to keep? I want to keep the local, so I delete the remote. The remote is below. Delete this line so I don't cause issue. Save it, and then I go back and then I run git status. So git add main.java git status. Nothing because we sorry, we added now we need to commit the merge. So merged changes and merge the changes. Now I can push to GitHub. Okay, so these are the sort of work that you need to do, right? So in I wanted to go. I'm gonna post. Go ahead and update um, the course. Sorry, the workshop website. Link to the assignment on the Get It, where you have to clone an application and work on step. Some of them are explained here. I think we went through in details discussion on how to merge and resolve conflict. So expect more on these sorts of questions in the quiz that you will be getting end of the week, right? User was not synced with GitHub page. He himself was not updated. So how can he push something new? Not sure though. Yusuf. Um, so if someone is not synced with the remote repository on GitHub, they have to fetch and then merge, right? If they are just starting new, then they have to clone and download the repository. So cloning the repository is the equivalent of downloading the repository with the Git version history, right? So my advice to you all is avoid using git pull origin main. Many people will stop and then they might cry or ask Google and Stack Overflow and ChatGPT and all those sort of things when git pull origin doesn't work. Okay, because it's kind of will do the merge for you, and if it doesn't do the merge for you, people start crying, right? So always use git fetch because git origin will git pull origin main will fetch and merge if things are mergeable, right? So just don't cry and don't Google. Just run git fetch origin main. I'm gonna hit Control C. I'm not gonna run it, and then you do git merge, and then origin is the name of GitHub, and then main, right? And then you have to fix the conflict, and then you add git add name of the file that you fixed the conflict, and then you run git commit message fixed the conflict, and then you run git push origin main. If literally this is all you know about Git, you're almost done, right? You can do collaborate on projects, work on your senior projects, push anything. And I highly recommend for you all to put everything you do, assignments, projects, put them in GitHub. Okay, you can go back to them. It's basically your it's a really great backup, and it's really great to have presence on in GitHub. Really, I do everything. I do all my courses. I even push presentation slides written in markdowns into GitHub. Right, Git is great for tracking text files. Can go back to histories. I put all my work on on GitHub. So yeah, now you have those projects, go push to GitHub. All right, so expect the quiz to be around these lines. I'll be uploading this video to YouTube with a link at the end of the meeting. So I'm gonna upload it to YouTube so you can return back to the video. And the quiz will be, yes, multiple choice question will all be scenario based. Someone did something like what I did, and they did run, for example, get pulled, it didn't work. What would you do? And then I'll give you a set of commands to use. Okay? Any other questions? What about the assignment? The assignment is will be to complete. Um, the assignment will be to complete the get it. So I'll update the link here when the video is up. You're gonna see the video 2024 with the date spring 2024. You're gonna see the video here with the link here. You click on it and then you click on accept, and then you submit a screenshot of the Get It app. There is an app for learning Git that you need to download and work through, and then click on it. Right. So I'll be in discussion with your instructor, Dr. Muhammad, and discuss the logistics of um, when to do the quiz.